many contributors here, where they are demanding a payment to stamp for these young people who want to go and vote. And we are talking about some 4 to 5 million young people who are first-time voters, whom I think, and I want to imagine, somebody out there may be deliberate in defranchising them, because the fear is real. When you have an 80-year possible candidate, he fears younger people. And that's a given. And would work towards defranchising. Let the young people determine the leader they want to lead Uganda. Not an 80-year-old man defranchising wananchi for non-registration. I beg to move.
Thank you. Chairperson Legal. Motion? Just motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to move a motion for this House's consideration, a motion without notice under Rule 59. Right Honorable Speaker, when you listen to the members, the issues being raised are similar in all districts, in all constituencies. The issue of the faulty equipment, the issues of distance, the issues of charging money, the issues. So, Right Honorable Speaker, and we don't have the Electoral Commission here to actually answer. Right Honorable Speaker, I am moving a motion that this matter be referred to the committee, and the committee be given 2 days to interface with the Electoral Commission and other officials, and then come here, bring a report for us to debate and make clear recommendation. Otherwise, short of that, Right Honorable Speaker, this is a statement where the minister, we shall speak, and these matters will simply go. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I move under that rule that let us be organized as a house, that we give this matter to the committee to interface with the relevant agencies, NERA, the Electoral Commission. Why can't we use the NERA registration? Most of the children who are 17 years now have NINs. So why can't we use the data from NERA to actually have these people registered?
But now,
so, Right Honorable Speaker,
you're submitting.
Yes, I'm saying that I move a motion, Right Honorable Speaker, that the House considers referring this matter to the committee, and the committee be given 2 days, so that we can debate a report with clear recommendations. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, this is a motion where I don't just put a question. It's my opinion. Yeah, but 2 things. Number one, when we have such a statements, the honorable colleague who raised the question should be given an opportunity to speak first. But because it was a leader of opposition, I told him that we agreed that he waits because there are issues which might come, and as leader of opposition he needs to respond. So if I take up this motion now, I would have denied him an opportunity to comment on something he raised. That's number one. But number two, when such a controversial issues come, the speaker is supposed to guide at the end, because the statement does not have a provision for a resolution of parliament. So the speaker guides at the end. So it would be really unfair if I just pushed it to the committee without first listening to colleagues on these issues. Yeah, but I really appreciate Honorable Saropendi what he had read. So I had allowed the chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Committee on Legal Affairs, followed by Honorable Kro, then the Shadow Attorney General, Honorable Mujuchi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
independents, I'm going to also have them. I have a procedure, Honorable Naomi. Yes, procedure, Honorable Naomi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. Wouldn't it be procedurally right for us to first hear what Honorable Chivumbi has just raised, the question, and reminded us of what Parliament passed, especially in the budget, and now it has not been fulfilled? wouldn't it be procedurally right for us first to listen to what happened to that before we even continue hearing from each other? What happened? Because this is Parliament that passed it.
No, that's your question.
What
Yeah.
Honorable
Yes,
Chivumbi raised?
I get you. I get you, Honorable.
Let's first get the answer.
Yes, I get you. But you see, I've picked very many critical questions. Now, in the interest of time, I felt the minister should answer at once. Otherwise, an issue will come, we say this is critical, first answer. This is critical, first answer. So let's
Thank you.
let's
Thank
first
you.
listen to Chair.
Thank you,
Rigo.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, without prejudice to the issues raised by members, the issues of the fuel kits, issues of power, which is not in many parishes, and the issues of the delays, without prejudice to all those issues, Mr. Speaker, I raise up to also inform colleagues and this House that the Electoral Commission is working under very difficult conditions, and also implore colleagues that tomorrow we shall be handling the budget framework paper. The Electoral Commission has not been funded for phase 2 and phase 3 of the 2026 general elections, of which this verification is in phase 2, but they have not been funded. They need 450 billion shillings to be able to handle phase 2 and phase 3. I rise up, Mr. Speaker, to implore this House that we must speak together as a voice of this House under Article 66. We have an obligation to ensure that the Electoral Commission is well funded and adequately to handle their mandate under the Constitution. And therefore, as a House, Mr. Speaker, tomorrow, as we handle the budget framework paper, we must raise up collectively to ensure that we make recommendations that give the effect that the Electoral Commission is funded very well to be able to deliver a credible election in 2026. Other than that, the Electoral Commission, colleagues, is not funded, and we must fund it as an obligation of this House under Article 66. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I had picked Shadow Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having read the Deputy Attorney General's statement, I should have moved at the earliest that we throw it out because it does not give us solutions. And all of us are lamenting, and his statement is also full of lamentations and contradictions. Mr. Speaker, we have over 30,000 polling stations. And the statement of the Deputy Attorney General says they required 5,000 kits to serve over 30,000 polling stations. The statement is talking of registration at parish level, and yet we know we have over 10,000 parishes vis-a-vis the 2,700 kits. So who is actually telling the truth? The statement is talking about technical teams to troubleshoot whatever comes wrong with the computers. It has not even mentioned how many people are attached to the 2,700 kits. And it's not giving us the solutions to the kind of challenges we now have. Yes, I know the budgetary issues, but as Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi said, where did the kits we procured for census go? Where are they? And they were per village. So where did they go? So I would move members that we reject this statement and require the Attorney General to come back with a clear statement giving us the solutions to the issues members have raised. I beg to move.
Thank you. So,
I want to sincerely thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity and to catch your eye. Right Honourable Speaker, the concerns of members are very clear and very loud. When you look at the distribution of the kits, personally, if I look at my county, I have a town council and a sub-county. Usuk and Usuk town council and Usuk sub-county are only having one kit, running a town council and a sub-county. So you find that it becomes very challenging. I think we should give this, I want to appeal to my senior colleague, the Attorney General, and government, that we need time to do this. I know electioneering process is like a vehicle already in motion, but we need time to do something good, because we do elections once in every 5 years. So let's give this matter. This is one way we determine the issues of leadership. One way actually to disenfranchise people and deny them the right to participate in elections is through some of these exercises. But I want to quite differ from the averment that it could be an indicative planning that the 80-year-old is disenfranchising. Who knows who that person will vote? Nobody knows. My senior colleagues here, the lawyers, know that in law, they say not even the devil knows the intent of man. So we can't know who they were supposed to vote, so we cannot attribute blame to an individual, yet it's an exercise that we can embrace. So I want to appeal to all of us as colleagues that election knows no party. For us to have a clean register, let all of us are interested parties. Whether you're in opposition, whether you're in NRM, we want everybody registered and participates in the exercise. I beg to submit. Then lastly, Right Honorable Speaker.
No, you've already submitted. Honorable colleagues in the public gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation of councillors from Pabo Town Council, located in Clark North Constituency, Amuru District. They are represented by Honorable Akol Anthony and Honorable Lucy Akero. They've come to observe proceedings of this House. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you. Thank you. Lop. Let me first hear from Lop. Yes. Yeah. Let me first hear from Lop.
Honorable Speaker, perhaps if you'll allow me 1 minute before I respond to the statement, Right Honorable Speaker, to raise a matter of our rules, but also to seek your further guidance, because, you know, even as land friends, we keep guiding each other. Honorable Speaker, you quoted Rule 59 in response to a motion moved by Honorable Betty Namboze and Honorable Sarah Opendi, and you said Rule 59, which provides for motions without notice, and you referred us to 59K, a motion which in the opinion of the Speaker is a matter of emergency. And you said that for any of these motions, it must be moved as long as, in your opinion, it carries the day. Honorable Speaker, I would like to respectfully disagree with you, sir, because Rule 59(1) says, the following motions may be moved without notice, and it provides for different kinds of motions. K is only one of the motions that can be moved without notice. That is motion which in the opinion of the Speaker is a matter of emergency. So it's not true that any of these motions can only be moved as long as in the opinion of the Speaker it's a matter of emergency or carries the day. That's my interpretation, but like I said, I seek that you guide further on this issue and then I proceed, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, it depends on how you present your matter and how you qualify your matter. Okay? If you want us to adjourn debate, for example, under which Honorable Sarah Pendi was moving, it means I will adjourn debate, maybe to tomorrow, maybe to another day. It's me interpreting. I'm the custodian of rules. Yeah. So, okay? Now, if you are saying no, refer it to a committee. You are telling me to send a matter to a committee makes a report, a new report comes here, they present it, we debate the report and come up with a resolution, which is different from a statement that doesn't require a resolution. Okay? So that's how I interpreted it, Honorable colleague.
Honorable Speaker, yes, I do see that further guidance of yours, but you see, according to our rules, when you proceed further 60 and so on, a motion, actually, the Speaker has limited space regarding a motion. For as long as a motion gets to be seconded, and it has carried majority members, the Speaker actually cannot stifle that motion. That's according to our rules, sir.
So this motion, the motion of Honorable Sarah, Honorable Pendi, I would have proceeded under what rule?
Rule 59, sir.
It's 59 what?
Procedure, Mr.
We have 59.
They can give further guidance.
No,
Mine was actually...
Just Honorable Rob. We have 59.1, okay, which starts from A to O. We have 59.2. Now you are saying 59.1K is redundant. Okay? So now what I'm saying, I have interpreted Honorable Sarah's motion, a very good example. Okay? And my interpretation is simple. This is the statement provided for under Rule 52. On a statement, you don't make a resolution. Very clear? Honorable Sarah Pendi stands up, says, refer the statement to the committee. The committee, listen, 59C is motion for adjournment of debate. Adjournment, you have not concluded debate. You're just adjourning debate. So you are sending me to the committee. A committee will make a report will come here. We adopt resolutions from the committee report. So, but anyway, that shouldn't derail us. Our chairman committee on rules is here. Maybe I have chairman committee on rules, let him guide.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable
just
Speaker.
chairman committee on rules, wait a bit. Let me listen to Honourable Numbers. You can guide together.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the point of procedure I want to raise is to assist those who will read this answered when it finally comes out. Mr. Speaker, you overruled a motion that had been moved and seconded on the grounds that you did not consider it to be an emergency. But the reasons you gave were indicating that in fact this is an emergency because you said we don't have time as a country, the elections are very important, they are the doorsteps, they are constitutional days, and you were pointing at emergencies, why this is really an emergency, and then you were ruling that we cannot move a motion basing on that, on 59K. So I just want to be guided. How will this be reconciled when people get to read the answered? The ruling of the speaker who is disallowing a motion seconded, consider giving reasons that it is not an emergency, him coming out to say, I'm doing this because this is really an emergency.
Thank you. Number one, the motion was not seconded. Because for it to be seconded, I must first allow it. So I just want that one to be very clear. Shouting around that seconded is not going on record. When it is seconded, I call for the seconders and they go on the record of Parliament. That's number one. Number two, Honorable colleagues, we have just picked 3-4 colleagues. For you, after submitting, you want suffocated debate. You don't want others to debate. When others were standing up all over, because if I had taken it at that time, all these people wouldn't have spoken. They came, they want to speak, including Rob, who raised the matter. Okay? Including Rob, who raised the matter. He wouldn't have spoken at that time. Now, I would have been unfair to a member who raised the matter. Okay? You get it? So, then number 3, Honorable colleagues, number 3. Rule 59 has an elaborate number. There are motions which are not in my opinion. Motion by way of amendment to a question already proposed by the Speaker is not in my opinion. Motion for adjournment for purposes of discussing a definite matter of urgent public importance is not in my opinion. Motion for adjournment of debate. Motion for the suspension of any rule under procedure. All these are not in my opinion. I'm instructed. Okay? Okay? But then I must be very, very cautious and we strike a balance. But honorable colleagues, this is a non-partisan matter. I'm hearing both sides. Okay? I'm hearing both sides speaking the same language. We have a problem. So I would request really that we remain focused and we sort it. But I had allowed Chairman Committee on Rules to
thank
to
you
guide
very
further,
much, Right Honourable Speaker.
and then we continue.
First of all, emergency does not necessarily mean that it is not important. Or important does not necessarily mean emergency. A matter may be important, yet it is not an emergency issue. And this matter is quite important. And I'm sure we all acknowledge that. However, I think, Right Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Sarah Pend did a disservice to this House. Other than bluntly saying I move under Rule 59, you would say I rule under Rule 59(1)(c), and if it is C, it is pure about to adjourn the debate to another date. All. And the same debate. But once you bring in other issues, then it ceases to be debate. Because the most important aspect of her motion was to refer the motion to the committee, not pure adjourning. The only rule which is relevant to this should have been only under Rule 59(1)(k), where the Speaker must determine that actually it is of emergency nature, and therefore it should proceed. I hope I get that. I get myself clear on that. And therefore it should proceed. But this is all different. So, in my view, since I don't see where the controversy is, do we need a thorough debate over this matter? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Because the credibility, the integrity of any election starts with the register and registration. Colleagues, you will be the one crying foul if there is no integrity with that register. All of us, whether you are pink, purple, yellow, red, it doesn't matter. We all need a credible register and a credible process. However, Right Honourable Speaker, what is the end of this debate we are having now?
That's what I must guide
Where
on.
is the end?
That's what I must guide
So,
on.
we now need guidance of the Speaker, because that is within his power. To say the way the debate is proceeding, we might need a process that will give solutions to the challenge we are having. And maybe, Right Honourable Speaker, I plead with you, guide now.
Thank you. Honourable colleagues, I had wanted Rope, okay, as a mover, the one who raised the question.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes.
By the way, for the record, I was not at all in support of Honourable Sarah Pendi's motion, at all. Because it is important that this debate gets to run through. I was only saying, let her not be knocked out technically, that at that point, we would have subjected her motion to secondment. Of course, she wasn't going to have anyone seconding, and then would throw it out. But Right Honourable, let me proceed quickly, Right Honourable. Firstly, I want to thank the Deputy Attorney General. Everyone has been lambasting him. I want to thank you, sir, for coming with a statement. I disagree with the contents of the statement and so on, but the fact that you have brought a statement, credit to you, because you see, many times, this front bench here, members across, by the way, opposition, government side, raise issues, ministers promise we are going to report back, and they never do. So I want to thank you that you have come back, but also that he followed up with me. He reached out to me and asked that I list for him the concerns that I raised here. The challenge, though, is that he did not address the issues that I put to him when he reached out. But still, I thank you that you reached out. Right Honourable Speaker, the biggest disagreement I have with the Deputy Attorney General, he concluded his statement by saying the activity is going well. It is not, my brother. You have had colleagues who are raising concerns. So that was your number one undoing. This process is not going well. That's why we are raising these concerns. Inadequate awareness. Honorable Speaker, the Electoral Commission put out a call in October last year of expression of interest to conduct voter education for the 2025-2026 general elections. This was 14th October. And many stakeholders did apply, civil society organizations and so on, to support the voter education process. But the Electoral Commission has to date not accredited any of them. And yet the Electoral Commission is saying we're using our limited resources to do a few talk shows here and there and that kind of thing to create awareness. But you put out a call to be supported as the Electoral Commission. And here is the letter, signed by the Secretary to the Electoral Commission, 14th October. Why was this call put out? Because the Electoral Commission knows it does not have full capacity across the country to do voter education. And the election process is a process, like I'm saying. It's not just on election day. So I don't know why the Electoral Commission put out this call. Many stakeholders applied to do voter education, and it has not given them feedback. It has not accredited them. It's as if to say that the Electoral Commission is sufficient in and of itself, and yet it is not. Maybe they need to help us understand why. Honorable Speaker, LCs, GSOs, DSOs, previously one of my concerns was why are we having all of these? Maybe LC, yes, but now GSO, DSO, HISO, what role do they have in this? They are not known, by the way, by most people, and they also don't know most people, which is in contrast to an LC, because LCs, they know their people. Why are we bringing in all these people? And now they are bothering the population, asking them for money. 10,000 shillings, 20,000 shillings if you need a recommendation. And people cannot afford many of these, especially the young people. Somebody has just clocked 18, they're still in school, they're even looking for pocket money because they're going back to school. Now you, a DSO, a GSO, you are asking them to give you their pocket money so that you recommend them. It is not acceptable. Honorable Speaker, there's a lot of information asking. With your permission, I don't know, you will guide, sir.
Information on the
Honorable Speaker, I'm looking at you, sir.
Honorable colleagues, you know, you have very many statements which you want us to sort today. Okay? Yes, so please, just wait for my guidance. Let Lob finish. I want to give guidance. Yeah.
So, the Deputy Attorney General's statement did not include that element. Even to say you're going to follow up this matter or task the Electoral Commission, because it's happening all over, and you can hear it is on the NRM side, on the opposition side. People are saying their voters are being asked for money to get recommendation. This is totally unacceptable, and it has got to be nipped in the bud. Honorable Speaker, the process has not commenced in many places, including here in Kampala, where the Electoral Commission is headquartered. So I'm now thinking about deep rural places. In Abim, I am thinking about Bupadengo, Moyo, deep in Kabale, and so on and so forth. It is a worse of situation, because if in Kampala here, and then the Electoral Commission told us that Kampala was given a bit of special attention, that more kits were distributed in Kampala, which is also not true. Honorable Speaker, I was just given information by one of my colleagues, the Honorable Susan Mugabe from Buvuma. In most of these island places, and by then not just island places, there is no electricity, so these kits cannot operate. There is no connectivity at all. They are meant to print these forms, many forms. They don't even have where to print them from. But the Electoral Commission is saying the process is moving on smoothly. No, that is not true. Honorable Speaker, I think it's important that government concedes there is need for more time for this exercise, because we all want it. It's good for all of us, for our democracy. Let's increase the number of days, because there's been glitches. Up to date, many places, the exercise has not commenced. We need more time for this process to be a free and fair one. Honorable Speaker, for an election to be a free and fair election, it is not just on D-Day. It begins with the process. When people feel they're being disenfranchised, the young people, you're locking them out because of all these different quandaries. That's not a free and fair election. can we increase the time? And Honorable Speaker, I don't know what your guidance is going to be, but I would like to move a motion without notice under Rule 59 of our Rules of Procedure that Parliament urges government to extend the duration of the update of the voter registration process by maybe 2 months. It's important, and well, government can suggest whichever period, but I think what's important is there is need to extend this process, because so far several days have moved, the process hasn't commenced in many places. So now on 10th February, the Electoral Commission is looking forward to announcing we have stopped the exercise. And yet the kits won't have reached some places. The exercise won't have been carried out. So I'm hoping that government will find it relevant to extend this process without even Parliament having to urge you, push you around. Find it important to extend this exercise and then sort out the sticky issues, because you can extend the time and then the sticky issues remain and the complaints remain apparent. Thank you, Right Honourable.
Thank you, Rob. The same motion falls under 59(1)(k) and it doesn't qualify. It doesn't meet the threshold, according to me. Honourable colleagues, let's look at this. We've had issues, okay, which are going even beyond the Electoral Commission. We have questions from UBOS. You came, you told us we procure these expensive kits. They are going to be used. Where are they? Why aren't you deploying them? We have NIRA, okay, where you said you're starting this exercise, the kits are ready, and they are going to also be helping in voter registration. We are having very many issues here and there, which I believe the Attorney General here will not sit down and answer and comprehend fully. Now, the problem also with these statements, which are provided for under Rule 52, I have only 1 hour maximum. Okay? Maximum. And this maximum 1 hour, we've already even exceeded it. So, honorable colleagues, I'm going to guide that we refer this statement to the Committee on Legal, and the Committee on Legal meets, among others, NIRA, UBOS, and members who have issues would want to raise them can go in, but I'm sure the issues which have been raised here are universal. Okay? No, I'm saying among others. I added on I just added on NIRA. NIRA is under Internal Affairs. I've added on UBOS, which is under Finance. Okay? Internal Affairs, and then Electoral Commission should be the one to explain the role of PISOs and GISOs. How did it allow them in if they were invited? Okay? And, Honorable Chair, we can do this tomorrow and Thursday, and then on Tuesday, because for a report we can debate even for 2-3 hours. And then, Honorable Rope, this will give us even a better resolution. You see, a resolution just urging, you're putting it into someone's hands to decide. But through the committee report, we can have a recommendation that is very clear that you extend. Okay? Not urging, not begging, but we make it very clear that you extend if the committee finds it necessary and recommends. So, Chairman of the committee, you have up to Monday to us a report so that on Tuesday this matter can go on the order paper, and now we discuss it comprehensively. Okay? We discuss it. You've picked the views that are needed. Next item.
Allow me to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for getting back to my point. Thank you very much.
Item 4 on the order paper, laying of papers Report of the Parliament of Uganda delegation, the fourth ordinary session of the sixth Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament, 28th October to 11th November 2024 in Midrand, South Africa.
Thank you. Honorable Katuntu. We shall use 10 minutes maximum.
Honorable call.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, pursuant to Rule 33, I beg to lay on table the following documents: the report of the Pan-African Parliament delegation to the fourth ordinary session of the sixth Parliament of PAP, resolutions and recommendation of the ordinary session of the sixth Parliament, strategic plan of the Pan-African Parliament, a model law on the right to nationality and eradication of statelessness in Africa, a model law on labor immigration in Africa, and the Pan-African Parliamentary Calendar of Activities 2025. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay. I'll just give a small executive summary. And at the fourth ordinary session of the sixth Parliament of PAP, which was held in Midrand, South Africa, under the theme Educate an African Fit for the 21st Century, Building Resilient Education System for Increased Access to Inclusive, Lifelong, Quality and Relevant Learning in Africa. The official opening was graced by His Excellency Sejerenyenko, Chairman of the House of Representatives of the National Assembly of Belarus, who emphasized the importance of cultivating strategic partnership between Africa, his country, particularly focusing on education. The Honorable Dr. Fatima Habib of Mauritania was elected as the Vice President of the Pan-African Parliament during that session. Right Honourable Speaker, there were around 7 key milestones which are all been laid on table, but the following were the resolutions. 1, on the adoption of the 2024-2028 strategic plan of the Pan-African Parliament. 2, resolution on the endorsement of the draft model law on the right to nationality and the eradication of statelessness in Africa. 3, resolution on endorsement of the draft model law on labor immigration in Africa. 4, resolution on the legal and policy framework paper for the draft model law on implementation of decision of African human rights bodies. 5, resolution on peace and security in Africa. 6, resolution of the Pan-African Parliament participation in the United Nations Summit for the Future. And 7, resolution on the alignment of the rules of procedure of the Pan-African Parliament to the protocol to the treaty establishing the African Economic Community relating to the Pan-African Parliament protocol, following the violations outlined in the legal opinion of the Office of the Legal Counsel and the directive of the Executive Council. Right Honourable Speaker, these were the recommendations. The details are within the report, Right Honourable Speaker. 1, recommendation in the joint seminar on Agenda 2063, fostering an Africa fit for children. Recommendation on the advocacy mission to promote the ratification of the protocol on the rights of older persons, the protocol on the rights of persons with disabilities, and the protocol on social protection and social security. 3, recommendation on the state and financing of the African Union. 4, recommendation on the report of the African Risk Capacity Agency. 5, recommendation on the state of African integration. And 6, recommendation on the state of industrialization in Africa. The session concluded on the 17th November with a call for members to report the session's outcome to the national parliament and ensure the PAP resolutions and recommendations and declaration translated into meaningful action. Right Honourable Speaker, we shall await your appointment for which day to debate our report as provided for under Rule 33(3). I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, Honorable Katuntu, I'm saying your report should be under Rule 38, because when you referred me 33(3), it would need me to appoint time, but on the one of Pan-African Parliament, 38(3), debate shall not ensue. So meaning this report should be taken to the library for members to read and get information once they need it. But I really want to thank you very much for the job well done, and the report the feedback we have as a leadership is that our delegation is doing a fantastic job at Pan-African Parliament. Thank you. Next item.
Statement in response to the questions on the military court martial and the right police bond.
Thank you. Attorney General. Yes, Honorable.
Honourable Speaker, I want to seek your guidance once again. The Honourable Katuntu, when he was making a presentation, his opening remarks were that this report is being made pursuant to Rule 33. And Rule 33 actually has a provision for debate. And Rule 33, Right Honourable Speaker, is talking about laying of reports of parliamentary delegations abroad. And Rule 38 that you seem to guide on seems to limit and emphasize laying of decisions of the African Union by the minister responsible for foreign affairs, and it relates to biannual reports.
Sorry, should have been Rule 37. Yeah, good clarification.
Okay, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yeah, thank you. But also under Rule 37, debate shall not ensue. Yeah, so.
Maybe, Right Honourable Speaker, what we needed to clarify for record purposes is the presentation of the report, the way and I had the Honourable Katuntu Abdu Mulawa there was presenting under Rule 33. And that's why he ended by saying, because Rule 33 has a provision for debate. So just need to reconcile for record purposes.
He can sort that.
We were ready to debate it.
He can sort that.
Right Honourable Speaker, it is true that under Rule 37, the Pan-African Parliamentary delegation report may be laid and debate shall not ensue. But in our opinion as a delegation, we thought it is really unfair to have our reports never debated by the House. So we wanted to hide under Rule 33 as a delegation to have this House an opportunity to debate our report. But at some point, I think we'll have to reconcile to see whether it is possible to have our reports debated. It's no use for Pan-African Parliamentary delegation to go and just get reports, lay them, and people go to the library. If they are presented here, I think they could be enriching to the delegation if they hear from the House. But anyway, we shall reconcile those rules since we're even in the process of amending the rules.
So we
Thank you.
We don't, but what Honourable Vasari wanted was a clarification that is very clear. You can amend the rule under which you presented the report. The shortcut one, we found that it wasn't that right. So do you think you read your report under Rule 37?
Let's report under Rule 37. As I said, we really wanted to bypass it, but let us report under Rule 37. The matter has been laid the table, and debate shall not ensue.
Thank you, thank you. That's noted. Attorney General, you had already been called.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, there are a number of questions that were raised by Honourable Nambeshe in respect to the military court martial and the others, which I need to respond to. There are 3 in total. So, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I wish to acknowledge the receipt of a letter from the Clerk of Parliament referenced the 14th of January 2025, by which I was given a copy of the Hansard because I had indicated to Parliament that Honourable Atkins Katsabe, who sought to remind Parliament as a follow-up to these questions, had not clearly understood what he wanted. So Parliament did the needful and gave me a copy of the Hansard dated 9th January 2025. I do understand English, but it is his accent that was a bit troubling. It is easier for me to understand my colleague Asuma Wasarewa. So there were 3 questions. One was the jurisdiction of the court martial over civilians, whether the court martial qualifies as a court of judicature, and the alleged unconstitutional threat to ban the right to bond. Question 1. The court martial's jurisdiction over civilians. The matter of the court martial's jurisdiction over civilians is pending determination before the Supreme Court in a case known as Attorney General versus Kabaziguruka, which is an appeal to the Supreme Court. And these same questions have been raised before the court martial, the general court martial, during the current hearing of Dr. Kiza Besigye. The same questions have been raised in the Constitutional Court. The same questions have been raised in the East African Court of Appeal. We've received a judgment notice from the Deputy Registrar of the Supreme Court informing us that the judgment in Supreme Court Constitutional Appeal number 2 of 2021, Attorney General versus Kabaziguruka Michael, Honorable, is scheduled to be delivered on the 31st of January 2025, which is Friday. The Supreme Court's decision in this matter will conclusively address this issue of the General Court Martial's jurisdiction over civilians. We recommend, therefore, that we respect the sub judice rule and avoid discussing a matter that is currently before court. The second question is whether the court martial is a court of judicature. The court martial is established under Article 129(1) D of the Constitution, and Article 110 of the Constitution. Under Article 129, as amended, it states, the judicial power of Uganda shall be exercised by courts of judicature, which shall consist of A, the Supreme Court, B, Court of Appeal, C, the High Court, D, such subordinate courts as Parliament may by law establish, including Kadi courts for marriage, divorce, inheritance of properties, and guardianship, as may be prescribed by Parliament. Article 210 of the Constitution provides that Parliament shall make laws regulating the Uganda People's Defense Forces, and in particular providing for A, the organs and structures of the Uganda People's Defense Forces. This mandate implicitly includes the establishment of courts such as the General Court Martial. So by passing the UPDF Act, this Honorable Parliament established the General Court Martial as a court of judicature. Question 3. The alleged unconstitutional threat to ban the right to bond. It should be noted that His Excellency the President, in his New Year's message, stated, among others, that I have raised the issue of bail with His Lordship the Chief Justice, and I have banned the issue of police bond. Any police personnel that gives police bond to a village thief when the case is ready for trial will be held accountable. The handling of village thieves legally but firmly is good for villages and also the thieves themselves. The implication of the above statement is not necessarily to ban police bond, but to emphasize to the police that once a case is ready for trial, then there is no need to give bond to the suspects. It should be noted that the President's statement strictly referred to cases ready for trial. And what this means is that the stage of investigations are complete and the case is ready for hearing, and such the suspect is already on remand. The President's statement was a clarion call to the justice, law and order sector to ensure that they use the discretion jealously in granting bond. In conclusion, the President's statement, as analyzed in its full context, is not a threat to the abolish the right to police bond, but rather a call for caution and greater accountability in its application. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Attorney General. Honorable colleagues, out of our push for this statement, okay, the issue of Dr. Besje's condition came up. And we said the committee should go and visit him in Ruzira. The committee report, whose deadline was today, is ready. Okay? So I would propose that we also receive the committee report and then we debate them at once since they are related. Next item.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Human Rights on the visit to Lizira Maximum Prison to assess the prison conditions of Colonel Retired Dr. Kiza Besije and Hajobed Lutar Kamulegeya.
Thank you. Chair, Committee on Human Rights, as is coming, let's get a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, this House has three sides, two sides, the opposition and the government. And it is always with your powers that you determine whether you are giving us free sitting or not. And here we are having a member sitting on our side, is conducting a conversation. But the best practice is, if you want to talk with somebody, you call him out, you talk as we proceed. So is the Honorable Vice for Defense, in order to come on our side, squeeze the Chair President, and disorganizing you, Mr. Speaker, as you are seated there. You are conducting is talking, yet there are a number of seats on this side. Is it in order?
Now, honorable colleagues, I've seen this happening on several occasions. I think I need to remind you of Rule 83(1)(b), where members are not supposed to move unnecessarily, and even I can declare by election in your constituency now because you've crossed the floor. So I should forgive you now. Go back to your seat, Honorable Linus. Always crack and draft for me later. I declare by election from here because the member has crossed the floor. Yeah. Thank you, Honorable. But colleagues, let's avoid. I've seen it several occasions. Members are moving unnecessarily. One day I will invoke that rule.
I have been here. We were trained. Many members even come to you when the member of parliament is meeting the speaker, all facing, all entering. We have to give respect to the chair.
You know, you come bowing.
You bow, but for me, I feel embarrassed the way members come to you, others walking. How would we give sanctity to this institution? And I will pray that one should be given first priority. Whenever I'm passing before you, I bow.
Honorable Jonathan Odura, are you hearing?
and the dress
code. He's one of the most disciplined members.
Mr. Speaker, the dress code is dying. Yeah. You ruled one time here, people are dressing the way they want. If we have to amend the rule on dress code, we say I can come with my gumboots, the way you want from my farm, but decorum is the key here.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, take note. No, colleagues, let's save time. Time is not our best side. I read that on a general. Yes. Honorable Sariro, procedure issue.
Right, Speaker, I thank you. There were two directives that we are given by the presiding officer on the issue of Dr. Besigye. The first time the issue was raised by the Honorable Semuju Uganda, and I was among the people who made supplementary comments. And the Attorney General was asked to present a report. Subsequently, when there was no report, the opposition chief whip equally raised issues, supplemented by the Honorable Atkins. Listening to the learned Attorney General, his response was limited to the comments that had been made by the opposition chief whip. The earlier issues that were raised are omitted in the statement by the Attorney General. And even the report by, your guidance to the Human Rights Committee did not cover the issues that were first raised by the Honorable Semuju and subsequently other members on the committee. So, Honorable Speaker, I just wanted your guidance in light of the fact that the statement by the learned Attorney General omits some of the issues that had been raised there and seeks to focus on only the issues that had been raised by the government chief. As a matter of fact, the presiding officer directed the Attorney General twice in as far as the report is concerned.
Thank you. Attorney General, you wanted to respond to that?
Honorable Speaker, I want to state categorically clear. My response is based on a copy of the Hansard, what is written on the Hansard, as it was given to me. There was nothing deliberate that I intended to leave out anything, okay? But if you feel that something else was left out, we can make reference to that particular Hansard. I will apply for it and make extra responses.
So now, just let's make it easy. Honorable Attorney General, the Hansard was referring to issues raised by Honorable Atkins, because you asked for the Hansard because you said you didn't understand his submission, so you wanted the record. Now, for the other people, you didn't say that you didn't understand. So we knew you had picked the issues and you would respond to them. Honorable Jonathan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, many times the front bench makes commitment here. And in the spirit of the House, we do concede when they request that they will come after 2 weeks or a month. One such commitment that came from him, the Deputy Attorney General, was when I asked the question here on the performance of the judiciary, which came from the report released by the judiciary stating that the Supreme Court was able to perform at only 15%, meaning that about 85% of decisions expected from them were not delivered. The same with the Court of Appeal that had performed around 20 or 25. The best was High Court at 35. But that translated into about 80,000 cases that are before courts, and those of criminal nature means that we have people detained, which accounts for the congestion in the prisons, accounts for a number of all these things. The Deputy Attorney General undertook that he would come here with a full report accounting for those cases. And if I may cite one example, Mr. Speaker, there is a gentleman called Robert Biarohanga, who has spent 28 years in Lozira prisons without trial. 28 years. I know many people charged with murder and capital offenses that have been sentenced to 15, 20 years. So that tells you already that even if the person is tried eventually, the sentence that will be passed by court may actually be 5 or 10 years. So how do you then compensate that person for their 20 years that you have wasted? And that is just one case amongst so many. So he had undertaken, I think the period has passed, to bring a comprehensive report detailing cases that are pending at the Supreme Court and what are the issues. And I raised that issue because this parliament, in my opinion, had done very good justice to the judiciary when we passed the Administration of Judiciary Act into law to make them comfortable to do their work. When we approved the number of judges, judicial officers, we expected speedy and timely disposal of cases so that those ones who are guilty are judged as such and then they are sent. Then those ones who are not are removed. If you look at the statistics, out of the 80,000 plus people who are in prisons, more than 50 to 60,000 are actually on remand. 50 to 60,000 are on remand. What happens when they are judged or when they are found not to be guilty? That's the issue. So we don't have to come every time to remind the Deputy Attorney General, and I think it speaks to what the Honorable Asuman is talking about. My understanding of parliamentary procedure seems to be different. I expected the front bench to be serious, to be supported by their team, that when they make commitments here, there are people to remind them. That's why, Mr. Speaker, you have so many procedures reminding you, or I have to come and line in your office just to remind you that, sir, there was that issue I raised a month ago, and it has not been answered. Can you put on the order paper? That's why the business of this house cannot move. So if they could be cautioned and probably guided, so that the commitments they make here, they are there to it, so that we don't clog this house so much.
Thank you. I totally agree with you, Honorable Jonathan. And I've been emphasizing, Honorable Korir, that we don't clog the order paper. We don't clog the order paper. But now sometimes you bring responses already overtaken by time and all that, you know, we end up having issues. Honorable Attorney General, these other issues.
Honorable, that may have been an oversight, because I really acted based on what was raised then.
Okay.
I'm going to write to the clerk so that I get a copy of that other Hansard, so that it can guide me on what was actually raised.
No,
but also be mindful that if it falls within what is expected to come out of court, I will leave that out and respond to that which is not.
No, it's
Thank
okay.
you.
It's okay. We know issues when they are sub judice. You come here when you're limited, you say it's sub judice, and we also pronounce ourselves on that. That's number one. Yeah? And number two, I think what I'm going to do, let's not wait. I'm going to instruct the clerk to write to you. Because you see, I know what they do, the practice under Office of Government Chief Whip has been to pick these issues, and you write to the minister responsible to come and respond, because this is what coordination is all about. So right now, Prime Minister, I would request really you discuss with the office, with the technical officers in Office of the Government Chief Whip. They make it very easy for your front bench. The issues are always picked, you write, and you also give us copies. Okay, so that we avoid this situation. Now, honorable colleagues, we have this report. Well, why don't we go to these statements for sure?
1 minute, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Atkins?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It pains me surely seeing Honorable Attorney General making a fool of this House, and with due respect.
But the Honorable Attorney General said he doesn't understand you. For him to understand you, I have to deliver answer to him.
No, you see, that's the foolery that I'm talking about. Mr. Speaker, sir, it depends on the gravity of the matter. You're talking about life and death. And Mr. Speaker, sir, when he went to the clerk to Parliament, he was served with a copy of the Hansard. And he called me out of the chambers. Mr. Speaker, sir, respectfully, I went to the Attorney General. We sat just on the seat, and he had a paper copy. And it shocks me to my bone seeing the Attorney General coming here and not addressing the matter. Mr. Speaker, sir, some of us have been caught. We know what Dr. Besigye is gone through. I was seated next to his sister, Dr. Olive Kabusinje. The lady cried all through the court session. That's the matter we're talking about, Mr. Dag. Be kind to the family. Dr. Besigye may not be a relative, but be kind to his son, his wife, his sisters and brothers, in the entire country, especially some of us that believe in him. Now, sir, this cannot be just a joking matter. You come here, just pass time, as if we are here to serve at your pleasure. We are not entertainers, Mr. Dak. We're not. And Mr. Speaker, as I sit ground, please let him commit, and it should not be beyond tomorrow. We've been waiting for that report. You have the answer. You have no excuses. This is not a house for excuses. Enough is enough. We want to see that report tomorrow, Mr. Dag, with the due respect. And in conclusion, I make this conclusion that surely from today moving forward, I made this conclusion, and I want to put it before you, Mr. Attorney General, that being a deputy Attorney General does not change who you were, it reveals who you were. And I want to ask you to please, for 1 minute, have a human heart. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Honorable colleague, I don't know why we've gone personal. Oh no. Huh? I don't know why we've gone personal. I think we were moving very well, but now the challenge I'm getting, honorable colleagues, is we stand up on point of procedure, then we start submitting substantively on items that we have here. Why don't we receive the report of the Human Rights Committee? I open up numbers. You people, you debate.
But we need that commitment, Mr. Speaker, that report that he will support to address himself or pay attention to tomorrow without fail. Mr. Speaker, sorry, that's my request. This is from family, this is from the global community, and this is from our fellow citizens. We can't allow to just sit in this house looking at the front seat, making this institution that you preside over, Mr. Speaker, in a joke. We're not going to allow that, Mr. Speaker. That is your constitutional office. You're a presiding officer. We are not going to allow people like my honorable brother making a joke or a fool of this house. Not on our watch, Mr. Dag. Not on our watch.
Honorable colleagues, I think where we've reached, I'll be directing the clerk. Anyone who picks a microphone without my permission and you submit, that submission shall be expunged from the record of Parliament. Maybe we can have order. Otherwise, people are going to keep grabbing microphones, and then the ones who are behaved will be like, but why are we? Yeah. Otherwise, anyone who has a microphone in front of them, they can easily grab, express their opinions. But I request we calm down, okay? We sent the committee to Ruzira. The committee has brought its report.
Honorable Speaker, I find that to be more or less a personal attack, an attack on my person as an individual and character. And I want to request that it should be expunged. If he has anything personal with me, we can handle it outside of Parliament. Thank you.
Now, honorable colleagues, the tone is a little bit different from the language. But I don't know. These days, Honorable Atkins. These days, Honorable Atkins. Maybe we shall have a talk in the office. Let's have a talk. I understand why you're behaving the way you're behaving these days. It's because it has. Sometimes I keep quiet. I see situations, I decide I keep quiet. I leave you talk, and in the end, I keep quiet. But I think we are creating, we are brewing a storm in a teacup. We are listening to each other. There is a report of the committee. I would say, let's go to that report. Today, I'm so lenient. I want to be as lenient as possible. It will be up to you. If it reaches 5, I wanted to adjourn at 5. Okay, I'm seeing the time you're eating. So if you decide to use your time this way, then at a certain time I will adjourn and we've concluded the matter. Yeah. So, Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to lay on table the following documents. Number 1, a report of the Human Rights Committee. Number 2, a minority report attached to the report of the Human Rights Committee. Number 3, minutes of 2 meetings held in respect of this subject. And number 4, written submissions of Uganda Human Rights Commission and written submissions of Uganda Prison Services. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to present a report of the Committee on Human Rights on the visit to Luzira Maximum Security Prison to assess the prison conditions of Kano, retired Dr. Chiza Besije, and Haji Obeid Lutale Kamulega. With your indulgence, Right Honorable Speaker, may I skip pages 1, which has introduction. It also has the members of parliament who visited Luzira. Pages 4, that has the legal framework. Page 5 is still legal framework. Page 6, objectives of the field visit and methodology.
Yes,
and
we can do from 2.0.
From?
2.0.
2.0.
On page 6. Objectives, methodology, we need to know how you went and
Right Honorable Speaker, the objectives were, number 1, to visit Kano retired Dr. Chiza Besije and Haji Obeid Lutale Kamulega to establish their detention conditions. Number 2, to assess the human rights conditions of Luzira Maximum Security Prison. The methodology. The committee, Roman 1, conducted a tour of Luzira Maximum Security Prison. 2, held a meeting with the regional prisons commander for Kampala Extra and the officers in charge of Luzira Maximum Security Prison. 3, interacted with Kano retired Dr. Chiza Besije and Haji Obeid Lutale Kamulega. 4, held meetings with the Honorable, the Attorney General, the Uganda Prisons, and the Uganda Prisons Service. 5, received written submissions from the Uganda Human Rights Commission. And 6, reviewed the standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. Findings. This section of the report presents the findings of the committee through the aforementioned methodology. 4.1, visit to Luzira Maximum Security Prison to assess the physical conditions of the prison. The committee visited the prison and interacted with the prisoners who raised the following issues. 4.1.1, Dr. Chiza Besige's personal issues in prison. Kano, retired Dr. Chiza Besige, informed the committee that he feels safer in Luzira prison compared to other detention facilities. He commended the prison authorities for their professionalism and for ensuring that inmates' rights are upheld and protected. He also had added that the prison doctors visit him on a daily basis and is allowed to see his personal doctor whenever the need arises. Dr. Chiza Besige noted that he has access to adequate food with 3 authorized suppliers providing his needs. Similarly, his co-accused Haji Obeid Lutale has 3 authorized suppliers providing his food. They cook their own meals for security reasons. It should be noted that whereas the Uganda Prison Service provides 3 meals a day for other prisoners, Dr. Chiza Besige informed the committee that he refused to eat the food provided by the prison for fear of being poisoned. He acknowledged significant improvements in the prison conditions over the years. Systems have been computerized and the facility is better maintained than it used to be. He further confirmed that there had been a remarkable improvement between 2016 and the present day, with the prison currently fitted with running water, waterborne toilets, the abolition of the bucket system in Luzira Maximum Security Prison, and a fresh coat of paint had been applied to the walls, which were all commendable developments. Dr. Besige, however, highlighted some personal concerns. Number one, he is detained in a highly restricted section, which he described as a prison within a prison, requiring passage through 5 gates to reach his cell. He expressed fear for his safety, particularly as he is held alone in a cell with a toilet, a shower within the northern wing, which accommodates a total of 18 prisoners. Number 2, he shared concerns about unexplained late-night activities in the prison, such as padlocks being opened and closed without anyone entering his cell. He fears being poisoned or harmed in such environment. Roman 3, Dr. Besige lamented that he is not allowed to interact with fellow inmates, and the rules applied to him are more restrictive than those applied to other prisoners. Roman 4, he is not allowed to attend prayers with other inmates in the prayer houses within the prison. Part 5.0 deals with the observations and the recommendations of the committee. Number 1, food for prisoners. The committee observed that the food provided by Uganda Prison Service to the prisoners lacks variety and does not meet the minimum standards of a balanced diet as provided for in the law, on account of the limited budgetary provisions. To mitigate this, the Commissioner General informed the committee that Uganda Prison Service allows inmates access to their own non-cooked food supplies from external sources. Committee recommends that government should provide adequate funding to the Uganda Prison Service to exploit the prison farms for purposes of producing food crops for the provision of nutrition to prisoners. Conditions of detention. The committee observed that interventions have been instituted to improve the living conditions of prisoners in Luzira Maximum Security Prison, as confirmed by Colonel retired Dr. Shiza Besige, who stated that there had been remarkable improvements. The reports of running water, waterborne toilets, the abolition of the bucket system in Luzira Maximum Prison, and the fresh court are commendable. The committee recommends that the bucket system, as far as possible, should be eliminated from all facilities in the country. Government should increase funding to the Uganda Prison Service to facilitate the construction of waterborne facilities in all prisons in the country. Congestion. The committee noted that the rate of occupancy of Luzira Maximum Security Prison exceeds 500% since the facility was designed to hold 600 prisoners but currently holds 3,292 inmates. The committee recommends that government should prioritize setting up new prison facilities or expanding the existing ones to address the issue of congestion. Committee also recommends that government should take practical steps through the judiciary to urgently address the issue of case backlog. Separation and classification. The committee noted that the current incarceration of convicts, the condemned, and prisoners on demand in the same facility results in prisoners on remand who should be presumed innocent until proved guilty being treated as convicts, whereas, as much as possible, their rights should not be severely curtailed to the same extent. The committee recommends that the three categories of prisoners should be housed in different prison facilities to ensure that the rights of prisoners on remand are not abused since they are innocent until proved guilty. Prolonged pre-trial detention. The committee observed that pre-trial detention periods in Uganda range from days to decades, with some cases taking as long as 28 years in the judicial system without resolution. It's well elaborated that justice delayed is simply justice denied. Notably, some of these cases are awaiting ministers' orders as they have an element of mental illness. The committee recommends that the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs should take appropriate measures to address impediments to access to justice. Right Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, the committee appreciates the contributions of the Uganda Prison Service, the Honorable, the Attorney General, the Uganda Human Rights Commission, and the members of the committee who turned up in large numbers to attend to this very important function. The committee prays that this report is considered and the recommendations therein adopted. I beg to move. Right Honorable Speaker, as I stated, 4 of our colleagues exercised their rights under Rule 205 of the Rules of Procedure to author a minority report stating 3 areas of dissent. With your permission, may I invite the Honorable Jonathan Odur to present the minority report.
Honorable Jonathan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The first area of dissent is the safety of Dr. Kizza Besigye, known as Uganda Remand 1867 of 2024, fear of being killed in prison. The committee was informed by Dr. Besigye that he is in fear of being killed in prison through poisoning. His biggest fear is that the state, being the complainant in his case, the persecutor, and has the command and control of the Uganda prisons, puts him in danger. This fact, the Commissioner General of Prisons confirmed knowledge of the fears of Dr. Besigye and stated that it has put the prisons authorities in a precarious situation, having a prisoner under them who fears being killed by them. The second area of dissent is the opening of the 2 out of the 4 security locks to access Uganda Remand 1867 of 2024, retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, who informed the committee of an incident where deep in the night, to be exact after midnight, 2 of the 4 doors were opened. This scared him into shouting loudly, and the people opening retreated. He sought an explanation, and 3 different versions of events were told to him. The first, that there were some items forgotten within his detention facility. Secondly, he was told that the opening of the doors were because some padlocks had not been locked, so they had returned to lock it. And the third explanation was that it is routine inspection by the prison authorities to come into the night and inspect whether the prisoners are inside. This made him fear that the contradiction was not justified. Point number 3 of dissent is the solitary confinement of Uganda Remand 1867 of 2024. It was the submission of retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye that he was being detained alone and is not allowed to interact with other prisoners, including attending prayers on Sunday with the rest of the prisoners. This is contrary to Section 57C of the Prisons Act 206. The Commissioner General of Prisons informed the committee that the isolation of retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye is first for his own safety, but also because Dr. Kiza Besigye has the capacity to excite the prisoners, which might spiral out of control. The Uganda Human Rights Commission, in its written submission to the committee, noted that solitary confinement, when used excessively under harsh conditions, can be considered a violation of human rights due to its detrimental effects on the mental health and well-being of a person. In fact, Dr. Kiza Besigye complained of being in a difficult mental health situation which cannot be handled by the medical personnel at Luzira prison. Point of dissent number 4 is confiscation of the Christmas greetings to Ugandans. Uganda Remand 1867, Dr. Kiza Besigye wrote a Christmas greetings and message to Ugandans, and it was confiscated for having 2 words, freedom and justice. There was no plausible justification by the prison authorities for detaining a message, confiscating it, and eventually sentencing that message to death, and the execution of the message was done. Point number 5, which is the last in dissent, is the denial of access to advocates to Dr. Kiza Besigye. The committee learned that Council Lukwago areas advocate to retire Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye was denied access to his client on a critical day when the court-martial was sitting the next day. The lawyers had papers, applications, and affidavits that needed the signature of the accused persons. The Commissioner General informed the committee that he denied the lawyer Lukwago areas access to Dr. Kiza Besigye, since that same day there were members of parliament who were visiting Dr. Besigye, and he could not allow both the lawyer and the MPs to access him. Our recommendations. The minority recommends that Parliament takes keen interest into the fears of retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye of being killed in prison by poison. 2, the minority recommends that the trial of retired Colonel Kiza Besigye and subsequent detention in Luzira prison be terminated and any trial be held under the civilian authorities. I beg to report. This report is signed by Honorable Nyeko Derek, Honorable Nabagabe Kalule Flavia, Honorable Zake Francis, and myself. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Jonathan. Thank you. Honorable colleagues, we've received the 2 reports. Our members of the committee are constrained to debate the same. So I'm just going to allow me, because these are our findings, we shouldn't take, okay, that long. So I'll start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and I'm picking you, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I've picked you. You follow yourselves in that order.
Thank you. Right. Honorable
Okay. what we do, I hope Clark has helped me to note, we can mix. Okay? Yes, let's try to mix.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'd like to thank the Chair for the report and for some of the good recommendations. I know this report is only not concerning Luzira. Some of the things he has mentioned are happening even elsewhere. And I know the committee has even ever moved to other prisons and saw what is happening there. So some of the recommendations should be taken up for action, but most commonly, the congestion is almost everywhere in all the prisons in the country. Then secondly, the prolonged pretrial detention. Even in the Attorney General, I think had already mentioned about it. So it's a very, very big concern that prisoners stay long when they are not tried, and also that contributes to the congestion. So I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, on these issues, I saw the reaction. There is a matter which has been settled, okay, from what I see, because the majority report touched it, and the minority report didn't didn't disagree. There had been perceived a situation that Besigye is denied food. I think that's a settled matter now. He appointed 3 people who can take for him non-cooked food. If you are not among those 3, because the public should know, because you know they can go to Zira carrying food and all that. If you are not among those 3 who were nominated by Besigye, your food won't be allowed in. And the same applies to Mr. Obed, Haj Obed Kamrege. I think that's a settled matter. Honorable Jonathan, on that, because I wanted us to shape our issues very well. We know the issues which were raised here.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to confirm that position, that any member of the public that would like to support Dr. Besigye is free as long as the food goes through those 3.
Okay.
Because, as you know, once you're in prison, you are limited and support is required. So it is not like the rest should not. But
Okay.
it should also be on the record initially
Yeah.
that the main point that was raised here was that Dr. Besigye was denied food. It is true, he confirmed to us that when he went to prison at first, he was allowed to access his own food and prepare. Then at some point, the prisons changed the rules and said, we will not allow you to prepare your own food.
Mm-hmm.
What we shall allow is that you give us money and we buy for you from the canteen, the staff canteen, or you send us outside and we buy for you. Now that is linked to his fear. So he refused to eat what ordinarily would be a hunger strike. And the prisons eventually reconciled and agreed that yes, you can now resume and get your supplies, but because you have accused us that you are not safe here, we want 3 people to be the one to bring for you food. So that matter has been settled, although it was a concern.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Christine. Honorable Corey.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I think it is important for this country to get the truth. I was among the people who went to Rizira. The reason is given by Dr. Besigye for not eating food. And the prison is also answered. They said they were receiving many visitors bringing food to Dr. Besigye. And they were worried. So what they said, it was just an oversight. It was a point of agreement on whether they should continue bringing food for Dr. Besigye or he buys food from the prison canteen. And because they wanted to safeguard his life, they said as prisoners, we are not going to allow all these people whom we do not trust to bring food for Dr. Besigye. So the only idea was for him to buy food from their safe stores. So Dr. Besigye was also adamant. He said, I cannot trust the jailer. Therefore, I can only designate my person who will be supplying me with the food. That was what he said. But for you to say that they were forcing him to buy food from the prison, it was not true. I think we need to tell Ugandans the truth, other than exciting the nation. This is what, and Right Honorable Speaker, the gentleman was very honest. Even what our colleagues from opposition were pushing him to say otherwise, Dr. Besigye was honorable enough to tell the committee the truth and the whole truth. Even the issue of his staying in a single room, it is not true. These are people just like those of you who have rented. You have an apartment, and one of you staying here, another one here. It is not true that he's even staying in one room and he's put alone there. Even access to worship, he gets even a bishop to attend to him religiously.
Thank
I
you.
think it is important to tell the country the truth.
Thank you. But Rook, honorable colleagues, me, I see, apart from the tone, you presented the same. Apart from the tone, okay? Yeah, the only issue which I had there, which Honorable Wakori said, was it is being insinuated that Besigye was being forced to buy food from the canteen. But from the records I have, I interacted with members on both sides, opposition and NRM, who went to Ruzira. You're corroborating information, and I think we are moving very well. Okay, we are moving very well on these issues. Honorable Christine, then Honorable Nwagaba.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity.
I'm picking from here and here, so but I remember.
Right Honorable, I want to appreciate government on a note that Dr. Besigye made a statement on improvement in the conditions in prison. It means that the effort of Parliament has been considered. I now want to support also one particular recommendation on the removal of the bucket system. And I want to agree that in some of our areas, the bucket system is no longer there. How I pray that it cuts across the country. And also to thank the prison leadership for the better handling techniques. Because surely, when we look at this situation, where Dr. Besigye is allowed to see his personal doctor on daily basis, whenever necessary, I am actually giving a reference that where he is allowed to see his personal doctor, that is okay, because there is no aspect of imposing doctors on him. So my prayer, Right Honorable, is that the improvement in the conditions in Luzira prisons should cut across the entire country in relation to the provision of water services. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nwagaba.
Thank you, Right Honorable.